Hey guys, I am Nishant and welcome to Cybernetico. So in this video, let's build a passwords manager using React, Modal UI and Firebase. So let me give you a quick demo. So we can create our user first. So let me create a user here. So it will create a user, and if we check in the Firebase authentication, this should be here, and we will be on the login page. So we can log in with the same email that we created now. So let me log in, and we are now logged in. So we don't have any passwords here. So let me add a password. So let's say Google and some password. Click add a password. It will be here. And all these passwords are getting stored in real time in this Firebase database. See, we have the email, we have the password and the passwords array. We can add multiple passwords. So let's say we can add Twitter. Click add a password. Yeah, it will be here and here also. So we have two indexes 0 and 1, and here we have two objects, Google and Twitter. So we can view the password using this I button. Click this, and here we have to validate the password using this password. So if we enter this password, so let me use this, it will validate properly. See, we can close the modal, but if we add the wrong password, we will get an error. See, please enter the right password, because the password we added is not the login password. So let me add this here as well. Correct password. See, it's here. The password for Twitter is this 1234. See, it's matching. Fine. So the next thing is, see, in this user of Nishant S440, we're adding this password array with two objects. But what if we create a user with another account? Let me show this to you. Let me add the email and some password. Click sign up, and okay, the same email. We cannot use same email twice because we will get an error that it's already in use. So we have to use different email. So let me use this sign up, and see, if we sign up, the data will be sent here for this. Wait a sec. This one is the new collection, new document with the empty passwords array. So if we log in with the email that we just added in create user, we can see the home page again. See, we are having the empty passwords array. That's why we are getting nothing. Let me add a password, say Facebook. Click add a password, and it will be here. See, it's reflecting. We can add one more. Let's say Google account 123, add a password. So it basically means we can see only our data that we used to log in. So let's say we logged in with this account Nishant s440@gmail.com, and we created these passwords inside this array. Only then we will see this data when we log in from this app. And one more great thing here is it's perfectly authenticated. So we cannot go back to the home page if we are not logged in. It will throw us back to the login page. So let me show you once more. See. So now let's learn how to build this project using this tech stack like React, Firebase, and one more thing, it was Modal UI for the user interface. So let's start by creating a register page. So I already have the page here with email and password fields and a button. You can see this in the components register.js. Here we'll have all these things. So let me create the Firebase project. Go to console, then click add a project here. Let me add a project name. So this should be as known as password manager. Click continue, create project. So here let me create a function to trigger when we click sign up, which is called register. Let me bind this function to this button. So when we click the button, we should be registered. we should register. So on click register, continue here. So let me now create one web app. Click here and let me give the name as same, which is called password manager. Click continue or registered app here. Meanwhile, we need to open app.js and we need to install this Firebase. So here let me do npm I Firebase, as it states here that we have to install using this command. So I means install in short, and let me create a file here in source folder, which will be called as, wait a sec, which will be called as Firebase slash or config in camel case, like this. We have to get all these things and add it here, which contains our API key, auth, bucket, project ID and all. And we have to export this constant app. We will also be using Firebase Firestore Database to store our passwords data. So let me initialize this. Import this from Firebase slash Firestore, like this. Then let me import get Firestore. This will be used to initialize Firebase Firestore. We can do export const database equals to get Firestore and place app inside. So our app contains all this data and this database contains our database. So we are done. Now we have to import these two things into our app.js, which is our main file. So app and database from one step back Firebase config. Save the file, and we're done in app.js. We have to pass the database as props to the register component. We have done this, and let me receive it here. Fine. We will use database later, but for now let's just get it. Now click continue to console here, and we have to initialize our authentication first, our methods. So we will use email and password sign in and sign up. So let me do import from Firebase slash auth. We have imported this and enable email and password. Click enable here, save. Now we have enabled this. So now come to users and say we don't have any users here. So we will create a user from our React app. So we need that. For that we need this function called create user with email and password and get auth. So get auth is getting all our data that we need for authentication, and this create user with email and password will create our user using email and password. So we will say const auth equals to get auth. We are transferring the data of get auth into this auth variable const auth. Then we will use this and we will pass three things. First will be the auth, second will be our email. So our email is registered data dot email. Second or third is called register data dot password, like this. So if it is successful, we will use a then block to get the response. So we can console.log this response. It is response.user. Fine, but if it fails, we can simply catch it and we can say error. We can do console.log our error dot message. So we are done here. Now let's try this. We don't have any users, so now open the console and let's start creating our user. Add our email and some password. Wait. Click sign up and you will see we're getting all this data that we need. So it has all the data. So what we are going to do is we are going to store our email in the session storage. So for that we need to do this session storage dot set item. We will do user email, then the value of the email, which is response dot user dot email. We will do this, then remove console log. Now we will also have to store the data in Firebase Firestore, and see if you refresh the page here, we should see the data in the tab authentications tab. See, it's here. Now come to Firestore Database, then create database here. Click the button, start in production mode, click next, enable. So we need a function here for this database called import. Wait, we don't need a, yes, we need a function called collection that will determine our collection name. And we will also use add doc to add data. Find these two things we need. Come to rules here, and let me make the rules to public right now, because we will change it later. Click publish. Okay, it's published. So now let's try to send data that we log in. I mean, the data we will send here is our login data or register data. So we can say const, let me define the collection name. So say collection reference or ref equals to collection keyword that we imported, and we will pass the database importing from, we are getting from the app.js file, and we will also use the collection name. So let's say user passwords. Save the file, and now after this session storage we will just do add doc. We will pass the collection ref comma, the second parameter here will be our data we are going to add. So let's add the email. So email should be this. We can use this, or we can also use directly this email dot email, and second one will be password. So password should be registered data dot password. We need one more property here which will contain all our passwords. So it will be an passwords array. So this third will be containing the passwords array. So we will store our data in an array, or the passwords data in an array. If we make it an object, that will be much better. So we can say name of the service or the website. This should be something like Google, and let's add the password here. So password should be, let's add any password. Let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Fine. So we're storing all these three things here. So after this we will also use one more then block to get the response, or we don't need response, we will just add an alert. So alert will say data added, or we can say you are now successfully registered. Save, and if it fails we will just add a then block, sorry, catch block error, and we can say alert error not message. So save this. Now let's try. First let me delete this authentication, our email from authentication here, deleted. Now let me try once more. Refresh the page and add the email and some password. Click sign up. See, you are now successfully registered because we are getting this message here. It means we can see our authentication data here and also in the database. So let me open the database here. and we will see our data. See, the passwords array have a 0th index, the first object, which contains the name of Google in the password. Fine. So it's done. We have one field, but we cannot add some data, or we cannot register with the same email twice. So if we sign up again with same email, we will get an error. See, email already in use. So why don't we just make alert here as well? And let me try once more. Sign up and see, already in use. Our email is already in use. So now let me do the same thing for the login page so that we can log in and go to our home page. So I will have to import a function here called sign up with email and password, sign in, sorry, and get auth also. Let me create the auth instance just like this here. Then we need a function, say const login equal to this, and let me use this sign in with email and password, pass the auth, then login data dot email and login data dot password, like this. Then we will use then block to get the response, or we can simply do nothing, but if it fails we will show the error in the alert. So alert error dot message. Fine. Now let me get the login function and bind this to this button. So we can say on click this login function. Now let me come to login page from the then add the email or enter the email and the password that we used previously. Click sign in. Okay, nothing will happen because we have to send us to the home page. So let's do that. So import. We will use React Router navigate. Use navigate from React Router. Then create a navigate instance. Let navigate equals to use navigate. Then we will simply do navigate slash home. Now let me add the email and some password. Click sign in and see we are on the home page now. That works. It means it's working. So now let me write the logic for the home page. We'll show the passwords here, all the data. So let me format this and let me create a class in this div. It will be called home main. Close Firebase config. We don't need it. We don't need register and login right now. So close them as well. So in app.css, we will do this home main and we can set text align as center to make this in center. Now let me add a card here after the home h1. So div. So we will already have a class for the card. So it's called card main. So copy the class, add it here, and we will have a card. But in the home main, let me add some padding to shrink it inwards. 20 pixels padding will be fine, and we'll have this card here. If we type anything here, we can see our data. See, it's here. So in this card main, what should we do? We need a button first. So let me grab a button from this register that we already created. So it's this button. Let me copy and add this here. We don't need function. So just make this as add a password. So format the code and let me add one more class. So add password here. So copy the class, add password, come here in the CSS, and we can say position as absolute and write as 30 pixels. Now it's on the right. So what else we can do? So we can say margin top as 20 pixels. Because if we just use top, that will flow outside this card, because the relative, for this to work, we have to add relative positioning. So say position as relative here. Wait a sec. Not here. In the card main. Here. Just add it. Wait a second. Input button. Add password. We have to add this in the card main. Yes. It is here. Let's add it. And now it works. So make the top as only 10 and right as 10. Okay, 10 is fine. So we'll have a button here. See, to add a password. Now let me show the password that we already have here using getDoc function from Firestore. So we are here. See, so we will have to import some things which will be called get or not get on snapshot. This function we all also need collection, just like we have in the registered page. So now come to app.js and pass the database in this home page as well, like this. Pass it. So in the home page, let me receive it and this structure from the props. Let me create a collection. So say const collection ref equals to collection, and we can say database, and let me add the collection name, which is user passwords. This. So add it. We have a collection ref now. Now we need a function. So say const get passwords equals to this. Let me use this on snapshot. We will pass this collection ref, and second parameter we will get from here is the data we need. So we can say response, and we can say console.log response. So but we are not calling this function, we have to call the function when our page loads. So we can say on produce effect, not state. Okay, let me also import use state because we will need it for the states, and then create a use effect hook here. The function will run when our page mounts for the first time, because this is empty, this array is empty. So get password. So save this and open the console. We should see the passwords or the data from the backend. See, we are getting this data, but we have to filter it out according to our needs. So we can set response.docs.map. So it will take a item param. Yes. Then we will return we will return dot item dot data with the id combined. So item dot id. So we have an error here. What is the error? Wait a second, I think I know the error. We need one more bracket here as well, then it will work. Save it and we can get our data here. Fine, we are getting our data here. That's great. Fine. Now let me add one state here. Call passwords array and set passwords array equals to use state. It will be an array here. Okay, this array will be need. You will store this array inside this state. So we will just do this, but in the 0th index we'll have this. Okay, let's store this here. Save the file, and now let me just map this array using map function. So passwords array dot map it will take a password value or param value is fine. Then we can simply return and div inside we will just do, let me add a p tag and we can say password dot passwords array t. But we cannot get this data because it's an array. We have to map it once more. So just copy this password dot password array, remove this p tag and say this map, let's say password, and we will return it once more. So we will return something, return some HTML, let's say a p tag first, and we can just, or let me make this as div first, div here as well, and we can say a paragraph p tag, we can say password dot name, and we can see our name or the password. Okay, we are mapping it at the wrong place. We have to make it inside the cardman div here, and it will move to this come in the card here. Fine. Let me also add this password dot password. Save, and we have this email. Sorry, we have the service and the password. So make this div as passwords password data. If you make this to simply a fragment, that will work also. Fine. So we need to use the class here. So come to app.css and they or do display of flex. We can say padding or not padding, a little bit gap of 20 pixels between them. Some padding as well, 20 or 30 will be fine. So it's here. We'll have the email and password. So let me make this as justify content space between. Let me add some margin at the top, 30 pixels. Not working. What if I make padding 40? Or let me add certain properties. So top 40,000. Okay, this is not top. I also get confused among them. So let me use trial and error. Not this. This is not 40. It's not top. Not that of this. 40 pixels. Okay. I think this should be not padding. This should be margin. So add margin here. But still it breaks. So remove this thing. So what can we do? Let me make position as relative and top 30 pixels or 40, 50, 60, wait, 60. 60 will be fine. All right. But I think we will have a problem because if we have a second password, there should be 40 units, 40 pixels apart from each other. So make it this a div here. And just say here, this class name should be called as, okay, not this. Okay, just make it here. This should work also. So password main. Copy the class. Come here in app.css. Password main and paste the position relative and top 60 here. And this will be same. Now if we have another password, we will not get a problem. So It's done, I guess. So it's done, yes. But we need some space between these two. So let me add some padding 0 and 30 pixels. Yes, now it works. Now in this p tag, let's give it a class name. So say password display, and add the class name here as well in the second paragraph tag. So we can say password display. Let me add the font size of 30 pixels. Now it's much big that we don't need that big. Make it 25 and it works. Also in this password data, we can do this background color. Let's say this BT. Let me add padding 5 pixels. Okay. What if we make this as 10? 10 is too much. So we can say 5 and 0 pixel. This is 5 as well. What we get? Then make this as 15. Or this is 5, fine. This is 15. Fine. We can make it 2 and it's fine. But the color is a little bit darker. Make it lighter. This is fine, I guess. I think 15 is also too much. Make it 0. Then make it 20. Yes, I guess it's fine. Fine. So in this password main, let me make the height to 20 pixels. Okay, too much small. Fine, leave it. It looks great. So in this card main, we'll have to make or remove the height. We'll just have to make this as auto. But it will break. Okay. So it's fine, I guess. We have this thing. Oh. Wait. In the card main, we have the height of 50 VH. If we make it to 100%, it is not getting properly visible because in the password main, we'll have this. So if we remove all these things, let's see what we get. Okay, it's overflowing outside the container. Because we have this absolute position here. Remove this. Okay, that's not the thing. We have to put this inside the card, but it's not working. I don't know why. So in the card main, we have the password main. Password main. Okay, top, because top is too much, 60 pixels. So make it 20 or 10. So 100%. Okay, leave it at 50 VH. We will change it later. So it's done. It's done. Fine. Now we can see our password here. But the thing is, top should be 65. Yes, that looks almost great. Make it minus something to shrink it. Okay. What if we make it only 5? We want, or I want to make this height smaller. So, so what if we make this as 15? Yes, that's how it works. That will be fine. So I don't need the password, I guess. So remove this password thing. Fine. Or leave it. Okay. We have this Google and we have the password here. We can add one more. So if we just repeat this div, we should see the same thing once more. See, we have these two things here. So in passwords data, we will have to use gap 20 pixels. We are using, what if we make this 5? We have to add the space between these two columns. So leave this. Okay, we'll do it later. Fine. So now what can we do here is, so we are getting our password. Now let me add a modal here. So if we click this add password button, we should see a modal. So let me create a component called modal.js. Now come to Mutable UI. We will use modal. Click get started here and go to this components and add the modal here. Search for modal here. So we have this modal. So copy the code and simply paste it. Let me import the modal component in our home page. Import modal. This is called basic modal. So we will have to use basic modal from this modal component. Then we will have to add anywhere we want. So let me add it here because it will be absolutely positioned. But the thing is, we don't need all these things. So if we refresh, see, we have this open modal button, but we need this button click in this add a password. So we'll have to move all these constants and states outside the modal and add it inside our home page so that we can trigger it from here. See, we are adding it here and we have cleared it out from here. Great. Also remove the button from here. We don't need button. But if we save, we will get an error because we don't have open here. So add open because we'll have open. Also add handle close here. So we have to pass these two things, handle close and open, to the modal component as prop. So open will be open and handle open, or it's close or open. It's close, handle close. Handle close, it's handle close. Save. Now what we have to do is trigger this modal using the button. So the on click, we can call the function of handle open. Simple as that. Now click the button and we can see a modal. But let me just remove the border from this modal here. See, we have this modal. Fine. So remove this typography or leave this first and say add a password. Save and we can see this add a password field. Fine. So now let me add one input here for the auto inputs for the service. Like in the passwords array, we have to name and password. So let me add two fields here of the name and the password. So in this modal, simply add it. We don't need on input here, so just comment out these two on inputs. So enter the page name. This should be as text, and this should be as name because we have this name property here, and this is password. Fine. So we will have to use enter your password. Fine. So all these things are same. We'll have these two things. Enter your page name, enter your password. So we also need a button. So let me get the button from anywhere, like this button. It will work. Add it in the modal here. We don't have handle open, so just comment out. And we can see a button here. But we don't need this add passwords because it will add it to the top. And we have this modal to add a password. So now let me get data from these two input fields. So in the home page, we need a state. So say let me add it here at the top. So we can say const. Wait a second. Set passwords array. Okay, let's say const, let's say password object and set password object equals to use state. Make this as an object like this. Now what we need is a function. So say const, let's say get password inputs. Then we will have to call the function when we type something. So we have to pass it here in the basic model component. So in this on change, we will simply use this function. So we will use these two in the get in password inputs, and it will be coming here. So we can say const data equals to, let me add or let me get the event parameter from here, event. So we can say event dot target dot name, wrap it in a object like thing, this curly bracket, and we can say event dot target dot value. So this should be stored here. If we console or CLG this data, this should work. So now open the inspect element, add a password, add the name and the password. But see, it's getting overridden. So what can we do to avoid this? Let me set it here instead of this data, instead of consoling.log this data. So we'll set the previous data, which is our password object, combined with the new data, which is this data. CLG password object. So now if you type something, they should be here. Okay, refresh the page. Yes. So add a password, enter the page name, it's coming here, and the password as well. See, we have the both fields that we are ready to send here in this array. Fine. So we also need one more function. So say const add passwords, and we have to assign this function to this button, this add a password button. So we'll have to pass this here, and simply on click we will call this function add passwords. This function we will call. So now to edit this data we need this ID. So how to get the ID? First we will need a few things which is called doc and update doc. These two things we need. Let me break this down to make it clear. Fine, save this. So we need the ID. So how do we get the ID? So the ID is coming in the passwords array. So if we console dot log the passwords array, we should see the ID. So add a password and see. To get the ID, we need the 0th index because ID will be same, and then the ID. Save it and click again, add a password, and we can get the ID. So now let me set the ID here. So let me create a state for the ID. So say ID and set ID. So use state null because ID is a number. So now we will set the ID here. So copy set ID, and in this use effect get password we are calling this function. We will set the ID simply like this. So where is it? This, where is it? This, we will set it here. Save, and now we just need to console the ID, not dot ID, simply ID, and that should work fine. Like add a password, add passwords, so it's null. Get passwords input. Okay, not here, not here, not here. In this get passwords function here. So simply add the ID here. Now let's try add a password and see, we can see our ID. Let me try using refresh the page, add a password, click the button and okay, still null. Add a password. We're consoling not log the ID and get passwords. Okay, now what can we do here? Okay, set ID. So okay, what can we do? Remove this from here and let's do the thing that we were doing before. That will work. This will work also. Simple. Click add a password. We don't need any other state for this, so remove the state. You can see the ID. If we click or refresh the page first, click add a password, this button, and we can see our ID here. Great. So we have the ID. So let me define the document to update here. So we can say const doc to update equals to, we will use doc keyword that we imported. We will use this database. Then we will use the ID. I think, wait, not ID. Wait a second. We have to use database. Then I think the collection name. So we can use this collection name, and third will be the ID that we have to pass. So add it here as well. Remove this console log, and then we can say update doc. We will have to pass doc to update, comma, the data we want to update. So we have to update this passwords array, and we will have to send this new array. So it's called this set passwords array. We have to send this. So password object. But wait. I think we are doing something wrong. Set passwords array. We are setting this here. Okay. Let me just send this like this in an array. Now let me try this. Add a password. Let me add the page name. So let's make it as Facebook. But okay, we'll do it later. Let me add some password. Click add a password. Now if we check here, it will be coming here, but it's overriding the previous password. So we have to get all the passwords and merge it with this object or this thing, this array. So how to do that? So wait. So let me just console.log the passwords object. So we are getting this object, and we have to merge this object with we are setting this fine with the previous data or the new data that we're typing in. So we're typing the data inside where. So we are setting get passwords input in object. We are setting okay, what if we set it here? Okay, so to add a new password, just come over to this get passwords function, and in on snapshot create a constant called const data equal to, we will use all the things here. So just add this here. Now if we console.log this data, let's see what we get. We are getting an array, so we need the 0th index of this array. So get it from here, and here we need this passwords array. So to get the passwords array, we need this. See, we have this password and the name. let me store this in a variable or a state. So to do that, we need a state. So say const all or hold passwords, because we are getting the passwords. Set old passwords equals to use state. It will be an array. Then simply store it here using this. So now we will use this old password state here. So we need to store the old password using spread operator, 3 dots, and then the new state, this new password object inside that. So add it here. Save. Now let's try this. Refresh. So we already have Google password here. Now let me add one more. Let's say this should be Facebook. Add a password. Click add a password here. And see, it's getting stored here. And here also. Let me add third password. Say Amazon. Add some password. Click add a password. And it's here. See, it's here also. So it's working. Now what we have to do is we have to hide these passwords. We don't have to show this password like this. So for that, let me remove or just comment out this passwords. So for that, we only see the website name like Google or Facebook or Amazon. So now let's add icons here. So if we go to this package called React Icons, we can get our icons from here. So install using this command. And let's wait for it to finish. So it has been installed. So close the console or terminal. Then let me search for eye icon here to view the password. So let me use this icon AI fill. So first we have to import the icon at the top. So we can do import AI fill I from React icons / AI. Then we can simply render out this icon here. Where should we render this out? Let's render it here after the p tag. So we can say AI fill. So for every password, we will have an eye icon. See, we can change the size. So we can say size as 40, and its size will increase, but 40 is too much. Let's make it 30. Great. So we have to give them a styling in this icon. So we can say class name icon. So copy this class, come to this CSS, and we can say margin top 5 pixels. Okay, 5 is fine. Let's also change the color. So color should be this. What is it? What was the color? Amber color. This. Let's add it here. Okay, that's too much brighter. So let's try this. Yes, that looks fine. Also make the top as 10 pixels. Yes. Also let me add some cursor of pointer. Great. If we now hover them, our cursor will change to pointer. That's fine, I guess. So now what we have to do is we have to open up a modal when we click these icons. So what can we do to open a modal? So let me create one more component for passwords modal .js. We will use the same modal here. So copy and paste here. But this one should be make this as password modal. So copy this, come to home.js and simply do this. So we have to import the component, import password modal from one step back passwords modal. Simple. Then let me just render out this modal here. after basic modal. So here also we need some states to trigger this modal open and close. So we have to make three more states. So we will say password open, wait, set password open. This should be handle password open and handle password close. Fine. So now we have to pass all the three things here, but instead of this open, we have to add the password open state. Not this open, this password open. So copy this and simply replace it here. Then we have this handle close or handle password close, and that's all. Remove them and let's try. But we have to add this function. So where is it? Handle password open. If you click the eye icon, this modal will open. So say on click this. Now let's try. Click the button and we can see the password modal opening. But let's change the contents here. So in the password modal, we don't need this. So remove the input here and the button. Save this and okay. Wait. Add a password. What's wrong? Something is wrong here. Password modal, password open, handle password close. So we don't need these two. So what's wrong here? Okay, wait. Where do we have to use this set password open? Okay, sorry. This should be set password. One second. Set password open. Okay. The thing is, we have to use set password open here, not just set open. Now it will work. We will get our passwords modal. See, that's currently empty right now. So it's done. So what can we do here? So we need to pass this ID in this modal. So to pass the ID, we will just do this. We will pass the modal ID, or we can say just the password. So to pass the password, we can simply do this. Handle password open and we will pass the password dot password. It will come to, wait a second, that's the problem. Okay, revert it back on click. So let me create a function here. So it will be const open password modal equals to this, and inside we will set the password open as true. Set password open as true. So we don't need this function, so remove. Instead of this function, we will do it here. Open password modal, and then we will pass the password to this function. That should be password dot password. So this should come here. Where? Here. Let me get it here. If we console.log this password, let's see what we get when we open the modal. Click the first one, we are getting the password and getting the password. So we have to show this password inside this modal. So we need one state. So create a state const show password, set show password equals to use state and string. So save this and we will set show password here. Set it here. Now our password is here. So we have to pass the state in the password modal component. Let me get it here as props. Let me just show it here. Show password. Now we open the modal. We can see the password here. See. See. We can see our password. That's great. So it's working. Let me add one more. Let's say the fourth one should be. Let's say Twitter. And some password. And it's here. We can click and we can see the password. So we can also pass the password name, like the site name, which is password.name as the first param. And let me get the name here. Where is it? Here. So instead of this string state, let's make it an object state. So set show password is here. We are setting. So we'll have to do name equals to name and password equal to password. Then we are passing it. Show password here. So we can say show password dot password. Save and it will work. We can add one more typography that will say the password for the password service name, which let's say its name is this. So we don't need this second one, just add it here and remove second typography. Save it and we can see this here. It's looking ugly, but it's fine. It's fine. So it's done here. Okay. We can see the password and we can close it. Password for Twitter is this, for Amazon is this, for Facebook is this, for Google is this. So it's done. Let me remove this unused button import. So now let's validate our passwords like Google, Facebook, Amazon, Twitter using our real password, the original password that we use to sign up or sign in. So we need an input we need an input field in this passwords modal component. So let me get it from this login page. We only need one input. So just copy the password input and paste it here in this box. Comment this on input. We don't need it right now. If we click this, we should see a password. But wait, let me hide this temporarily. Comment this. We will see interrupt passwords and a button. Let me add a button here as well. And remove on click or comment on click. And we can see it here. But we have to align the items in the modal in the center. So say modal main. Come into app.css and we can say modal main and we can say display flex justify content center. But I don't know why it's not working. Okay, did we say yes? If we add text align center, okay, if in the passwords modal we have the top 50%, left 50%, remove the width or make the width as 100%. it's too much. 400. If you make it this as auto in a string, okay, this works, but it doesn't look great. Okay, I know what I have to do. In this app.css, make the display flex as important, justify content as important, but still it's not working. So let's use the position absolute function method and left 50%, but still not working in this mode. Okay, the thing is we can't use it here. That will align the modal that we are already aligned. So add it here, I guess, in this box. Now it is aligned. So it's aligned. So bring back display flex. Also, let me add flex direction of column. Now they are in a column. So let me change the input. So they should be enter your password, or here we can say validate. So if we click validate, we can see the password here. So if we enter the right password, this password, only then we will be validated. So we have to pass this password. So where is the data in? So in this get passwords function, we are getting the data in passwords array. So let me pass the array here. So original password, we will just target the password array, its 0th index. Wait, let me console it first. Then we will send the proper data that we need. So console.log passwords array. So open the console. If we have an array, we need the 0th index. We need the password. So save this. So save this, and then we have to send the password, this password. Okay. So copy this password and just pass it here. And we have to get this as props here. Then we need a function here. So let me create a function. So const validate password equals to this. So this function will be triggered when we click the button. So add it here. Then if we add the password, they should be in this input field. So let me create one state, and for that we need the use state hook. So let me import the use state hook from React, create one state. So const new password and set new password equals to use state string. So we will set the new password directly here. So we can say on change set password event dot target dot value, and simply add the event here. So it will be the event. If you type some password, they should be inside the show password, but they should be inside this new password state. So we will create a check if new password equals to triple equals to the original password. So the new password is this, that we're typing in, and the original password is this password that we are passing in. If they are equal to each other, or they are equal to, then we need to show this thing, this password. So for that we need one more state. So this should be called const show password and set show password equals to use state. Let's make it an false, because we will not show the passwords initially, but if it is equal to each other, we will just show, or we will make it true. So save. Something is wrong. Okay, show password is already defined, so show new password. Fine, then it will work. So if it is true, when this is equal to each other, then we will show this. So we can say show new password, and just copy or cut it, and if it is true, we will show this. Just uncomment this. Okay, remove the comments, remove the comments, save. But if it is not true, then we can say all other things like this input and button in the false statement. So we have an error here. We have to put them inside a fragment. So add it. Save. See, initially we are seeing this thing. So if we add the password, let me start from the beginning. Let's say we want the password of, wait, what happened? Something is wrong when I refresh the page. What is wrong? Cannot treat properties of undefined home.js 61. 61. 61. Okay, we don't need this. Okay, one more error of undefined 106. home.js 106. Show password. Okay, here. Let me add one question mark, then it will work. See, because loading is slow, then it's working. Now let me try Google password. So what's the password Google? For Google, it's 1 to 7. So let me add it here. Add the password 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Click validate. Nothing is happening. Let me inspect. Click validate. Why it is not showing up here? Show new password. If it is true, okay, let me just add an alert first. Check if it works or not. True. Now click validate. It's not working. It's not working. Okay, let me console these two passwords. CLG new password and CLG original password. Okay, the new, what the hell? Okay, we are passing this as wrong, I think. So we have to pass this password. So wait, this original password is fine. Okay, the thing is we are doing it wrong. Okay, that was my mistake. We don't have to use the password for this Google. We have to use the real password. So revert it back. Save. Now let's try once more. So reload this page, but it's not coming anywhere. What's the problem here? Oh, now it's coming. I think internet problem. Now let's try the Google. So what is the password that we used? Okay, this one, and ISHANT123 at the rate hash, and we can see the password now. See, so let me make this as, wait a second, let me change some text. We will not use enter your password, so enter your login password, then it will validate properly. Fine, it's now working. Now let me install one more dependency or library, which is called uh, React Toastify for toast messages. But do we have toast messages here? Let me search in my Tidal UI. How to search toast alert? Okay, let's try this. Okay, leave this. It will be. I am using this thing. So let's install this thing first. So it's getting open. To install, simply add npm install react toastify. Add this here. We will do one more thing after this toast installation and implementation. So it's installed. Now let me import this Toastify and the CSS and add it here. So it's added. Now this thing we need, toast container, add this here. Then what can we do is, we will just need to use this toast and the message inside. So if we don't have, or if the password validation fails, we will show the error that please enter the right password. Now let's try to enter some wrong password here. Let's see what happens. Validate and see, we are getting please enter the right password. Or we can make it smaller or leave it. I think it's fine. But if it's successful, we will show this toast success, password validated. Now let me enter the right password. Validate and see, password validated. It's working fine. So one more thing we need, we are setting this to true, but after the function is rendered completely, we will set it to false for the next iteration to be having a input. So let me try this. So let me add some password, validate. Okay, we are not saying this because it's setting it just after this, setting it to true, then it's setting it to false. Validate and it's here, and I guess that's fine. So what can we do? Let me give an close button in the modal. So where should we give it? Let me give it here. So say div and class name close icon. So if we add an X here, we should see the icon. Let me just arrange the icon using absolute positioning. So we can say position as absolute, right as 20 pixels, and top as 20 pixels also. 20 is too much. Let's try 10. Okay, 10 is fine. Also make the font size as 30 pixels. So we need this as 0. Okay, that works fine. We have this close icon. We can also say cursor as pointer. If we hover them, we can see a pointer cursor. So let me grab an icon from React icons, close icon. So search icon for close. we can use this icon, I think, AI outline close circle. So we can import this, import from React icons slash AI. Then instead of this X, we can render out this icon. So it's here and working. So we have to make the top something, say 5 or 10 also. Okay, 10 is fine. Right, also 10. Then it's perfect. We have this close icon here. Okay. But the thing is, if we click the close icon, this modal should close. So we can say const close modal equals to and function, arrow function. Then we can simply do this on click close modal. And to close the modal, we need the function for closing the modal from the home.js component, which is called handle password close. So pass it here in this component and let me receive it from here. So just call this function simply like this. Now click the close button and it will close. So we also need to set this to false here. Now if we click set show new password as false, if we close this, we will see this thing. If we close it again, okay, wait a sec. So let me show this, not here. So we should show it in this typography. Save. Now if we add a password, say let me add the login password, click validate, we can see this. Okay, but not, wait a sec. Let me remove or comment this. Okay, it's breaking, so let's leave it at that. Let it be outside this. Okay, close the icon and if click it again, we will see this. Great. So wait a second, this input, let me make it as a div here. And let me add some direct inline styling. So margin top 30. 20, not working, it will bake. So I guess it's fine, leave it. So we have this icon that we can use to close our modal. If we add the login password here, you will see that password. See, that's working. Now, what can we do? So let's say you created your account, and you are saying all this data. So let me create one more account, or first let me create one logout button to go to the home page. So where should we do that? So in the home.js, we have this button called add a password. So we can make one more called logout. Save. And they are overlapping each other. So remove this add password, I guess. Okay, let me add the button somewhere else, not here. Let me add it here. So, but let me make a div. Give this a class name of log out button. Come into app.css and we can say log out btn position absolute right 0 pixels top 0 pixels as well. Okay, top should be 10, I guess, and right some 10 also, 20 and 20. So it's fine. We have a button for logout. So let me come here, remove this function, and create one more function for logging out from this page, from the home page. Say const log out equals to an arrow function, then assign the function to the button. So we can say on click this logout function. Save. Okay, something is wrong. Logout is already. What's the problem? Log out. Okay, wait. Yes, I think this should be this. So now we can log out, and to log out, we need the authentication from Firebase. Auth. So import get auth from Firebase slash auth. Create one auth instance. So let's say auth equals to get auth. Then to sign off or log out, we need a function. So we can say, I think it's sign out. Yes, it's sign out. So it's here. So we can say sign out and the pass the auth. So if it's successful, we'll simply navigate to the login page. So we can say navigate slash login. Do we have navigate here? Okay, we don't have navigate. We can use navigate from React router DOM, then create the auth for instance for navigate. So say let navigate equals to use navigate. So we will be fine if we click log out, because the thing is we are not on the login page, we are on the home login page. We don't have the login, we have just slash. Now let me create one more account using some different email. So let me use this one, and the password will be same. Click sign up. Okay, it's not working. Let me go to authentication. Okay, we are now registered. See, it's here. So we are now registered. So wait, I think we did something wrong in the registered page. If we are registering successfully, we will just send us back to the login page. So we don't need this. So we can say navigate slash. But here also we have to create the navigate instance. So import use navigate equals to React DOM from React outer DOM. Let navigate equals to use navigate. Simple. Then we'll simply use this navigate slash. Now let me delete this email account and try once more. Enter the email and some password. Click sign up. Yes, now we are on the login page, and if you check here, we can see this new email. So now let me use this Toastify here as well for a toast of success or error. So import this to here, then render this toast container in the return statement. anywhere. Then we will simply use toast.success or anything. So where are we? Here we are. So toast.success. You are now successfully registered. But we will navigate to that home page or login page a little while longer after little while. So we can use set time out. Let's make it 500 milliseconds or 0.5 seconds. Then we will navigate and it's done. But if it fails, we can simply show toast dot error. Now let's do the same for the login page. Open the login.js. So we'll need this two things. So import them at the top. We are now we need this. So here also we will do the same thing. So let me copy this too and add it here. But instead of this slash, it should be home. And they should be you are now successfully logged in. Save this. Now let's try to log in with the new account. This one, let me add the password. Sign in. And it's here. See, we are seeing all the previous passwords as well here. But that's why we don't need them. So open the Firestore database. And we will have this one more. So let me delete the redundant or duplicate field. So this one is we have to delete. This one is Nishant S440 and this one is also, but still we are seeing this. But we didn't add anything here. So wait a sec. In the register. Okay, that's why we are getting it. So make this name as empty and this is empty as well. Or just make it as an array. Simple array. Not anything else. Empty array. Then it will work. So it's done. I will show you later using the third account from the start. So now what we have to do is we have to filter out only the emails only the passwords that we created. So to do that, let's come to our register page. See, here we are not setting it. Okay. So okay, let's set in the login page. So we have to get the response from here and we have to console it first. So let me console.log this response.user.email. So we will get the email when we log in. So open the console now and log in with your account. Sign in here and we can see our email here. And we will use this email to filter out the data from here. So for example, let's say we signed in with Nishant as 440@gmail.com. Then we will show only those data that is meant for Nishant as 440. For all this data we will show according to this email filter. So we will do that. So what can we do? We have to set this in the local storage. Local storage dot set item. This. Let me add the key name also. It's called user email. Save and it will be fine. It will be set here in the response. Now come to home.js. Let me get it here. So we can select user email equal to local storage dot get item user email. Fine. So now let me get a few things from this Firestore. So first will be where, that will be used to define our condition of comparison. So the next thing is query. I think these are the things we'll need. So let me create a query here. So user email is here, navigate, okay. Collection ref, see. So to create a query, we can say const email query equals to, let's add the query keyword. Then we have to add the collection reference, I think, as the first parameter. Then we will have to add this thing. So let's say what is the its email, the key of the email here. So if the email, okay, sorry, we have to use where also here. So inside this second where, inside this where we will have to use email. Second we want to check if it is equal to, so do triple equal to inside an string. And third thing, let me add the user value, so this user email. So if the email is equal to the user email, only then we will show this data. Then we will have to pass this email query in the get function, get data function, or on snapshot function. So it's here, see, we are passing collection ref, so we have to pass email query. So save this and now let's check. If we refresh, see, we are not getting anything here. Okay, I guess because we have to use only double equals to here. Where is it? The query here. Then it will work. Yes, now it's working. So see, with the email of nishantas440@gmail.com, we have only 4 passwords, 4 objects in the password array. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean 0, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 4 passwords. But if we log out and if we sign in with that second email that we created, we will see only 1 password for Google. But we are not able to see because, yes, we are able to see. It's loading up late, I think. So I guess that's how it works, this query in Firestore. So now let's add some basic authentication things. So let's say we are logged. Let me log out and start from the beginning. So we're on the login page, and if we go to home page, we can see directly this, but we can't able to go to home page if we are not logged in. So in this home page, we will check using a function called on auth state changed. So this runs if we are authenticated. It will show us some data, or if we are authenticated, and it will show us some other data if we are not. So in this use effect, wait. So where should we do this? We should do this here. Yes. So on snap on auth state change, it will take the auth that we created, auth instance, and it will return us the response. If we are logged in, it will return us that thing. So we can say if, or let me first console this response. So open the console and we should see that here. If we refresh, okay, we are on the login page. That's why it's not working. So let me go to home page. Home, see, it's null. It means we are not logged in. So if we do this, let's do this. So if it exists response, then only we will call this get passwords function, or else we will throw us back to the login page. So we can say navigate login, remove the response from here, and that should work. So we are on the, okay, not, it's not login. I am always forgetting this. it's simply slash. So now try to go to home page and we will be thrown back to the login page. See, it's working fine. And the same is for registered. So let me go to registered page. And if we go to home directly from here, let's see what happens. We will be on the login page. That's great. Fine. Now try to log in and this should work. We can see the home page if we log in, see, and all the data here. So we can add a password. And if we log out, that will destroy our session from here. So let me do one more thing here. So in this, here is the logout button function. Log out here. So if we are successful, we have to also destroy the email in the local storage. So we can say local storage dot remove item. We can say user email. So it's done. So we can see our password. We can add a login password and then we can see it. Click validate. It will work. That's fine. That's fine. We can also decrypt and encrypt these passwords using a library called, I think this is called bcrypt npm. So let's check how to use this. So you can do this if you want, but I'm not going to do this because the video is already too much long. You can do this if you want. So that's how we create a password manager using React, Metadata and Firebase.